Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. So, fall is here, the weather's changing, and inside Horizon House, we've started preparing for changes to the Residence Council for the new year. With the start of, we start with the council choosing our new president for next year. As most of you know, council members have 3-year terms, and we elect 5 new members a year on a rotating basis. My 3 years is up on December 31, so I am leaving the council, and we will have a new president. Thank you, Nancy. I thought about the process as it was and the job as it is, especially now with the myriad of changes coming, and I thought we needed a better method of selecting the president. So I came up with an idea that I suggested to the council, whereby we would have the council choose the new president, and we do it by an anonymous vote where people could nominate themselves or anybody else on the council who had at least a year to serve, better 2 years if they had 2 years. And we'd take an anonymous vote, and that winner would be the new president. And I thought, who better than the council members to know who among them they think would be best to do it. So that is what we did. And we adopted the new rules. The secretary, this year I played secretary because Karen was away, and I circulated the ballot and everybody voted. And the result was that Ronnie Budge was elected our new president. So Ronnie would like to say a few words to you right now. So I'm going to bring her up.
Thank you, Deanna, and thank you for that round of applause, which I wasn't expecting. But as I'm sure you will all agree, Deanna has done a terrific job for the past 2 years. And she's going to be a hard act to follow. But I will do my best. I'll hope to do as well as she has. One of the things that I think she's done extremely well is to keep up the lines of communication with all of you. She shares whatever she knows about what's going on in the council as well as in the broader Horizon House community, and I hope to be able to continue doing that. One of the things that I am doing now and will do between now and the end of the year is to meet with every one of the council members one-on-one, as well as some other past presidents and so forth, to get their thoughts about what the council should be doing in the coming year. And I invite any of you who would like also to contribute to that process. If there are things that you think should be included as part of our goals for 2025, please do send me an email. And I will be meeting with the council and hoping to set some specific goals for the next year. And I will report on those back to you when we meet again in January and February. So look to that. And again, thank you all. And Deanna?
Thank you, Ronnie. I know you will do a great job. Confident of that. Later in the program, Sam and Marcia are going to talk about the Employee Gift Fund. But I want to mention something that's come to my attention this year for the first time, and maybe for the first time ever. If you're using a charitable trust to make your contribution, the trustee needs to know the name of the legal name of the corporation that they're contributing to and our ID number. Our legal name is Residence Council of a Horizon House. You don't mention Employee Gift Fund or Employee Recognition Fund. It's simply Residence Council of Horizon House. And the 91 number is available from me, from Sam, and also will be on reminders that everyone's going to get tomorrow. So if you're making your contribution from a charitable trust, you have to give them that information now. They're asking for it. If the contribution is from your IRA, I have not seen them question anything, but that may change at some point. They maybe get better at checking because they're making charitable contributions through your IRA. They're reporting them as charities and deductions from your IRA. So that may come up then too. So be aware of that. The other thing is at this time of year, everybody's getting their committees in order for next year, preparing their budgets. And as it happens, as we all know, sometimes leaders cannot continue on through the rest of through the year. Their plans change. And so it's important if you can have a co-leader. All committees have someone to assist the leader. And if you have a co-leader, please provide that person with the budget, how you prepared the budget, the details behind the budget, and any other pertinent information they need to run the committee and also work the budgets for next year if they have to. So let's try to keep some duplication where, we know that our committees are going to be able to continue functioning if you can't serve for a while. Finally, I heard some concerns from residents about residents coming in late to meetings in Anderson Hall when there are speakers, when there's something being shown on the video screen, and they're finding it very disrupting and disturbing. So I'd like to just remind all of you to please try to get here on time before the program starts if you can, so you don't disturb your fellow residents and the speakers. Okay, with that, I'm going to call up Nancy Najelski, who is head of the Nominating Committee. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Erica, no, I didn't want you to have to sit through that. I did have you next, Erica. I carried away. Erica.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Deanna, we are going to miss you, but Ronnie, thank you for saying yes to this charge. So I have a few bright spots. September was the month of love here at Horizon House. We had 3 marriages with our team members. So if you didn't know, Andrew Hill in Wellness got married to his long-term sweetheart, Julianne. And so he got married at the beginning of the month. And Eli Lemansky in Renovations got married to Jacinta Lemansky now, who you may know is a former Can Do caregiver. I know that we have a new company now that she is working for. And then a newer employee, Mikkel Johnson, who's an ECA in our assisted living, also got married. So if we have any wonderful couples here thinking about marriage, love is in the air. So the West Tower update. We are, as committed, we are going to continue to share, even if it's the same information, but we just want to make sure that we continue to message what is going on with the West Tower. And so, we started the reservation deposit phase in April 1. We still have 62 reservation deposits as of 10/10. As you know, this is a pretty big process. Initially, we had the priority deposit phase, which was, really a low barrier entry on a list. Now we are in that 10% phase. So anybody we engage with, our ask of them to get on our list is to put down 10%. And so because of that, people typically need several touch points. I want to say thank you to Deanna and the Residents Council for really bringing it to our attention that residents wanted to be a part of the process. And because of that, now we are asking residents, if you haven't been asked, I'm sure at some point you will, we have a long way to go, to be a part of our events. So far we are having several different types of events. One is called a lead generation event. That is to invite somebody who may not know much about Horizon House. They got a mailing in their home, or maybe a friend told them, come learn more about Horizon House and West Tower. So we're having those events. We have residents attending and sharing their perspective. Because one of the things we know, but we weren't acting on until Deanna, because many of you came to her and said, why aren't we being included? Now we are having that resident perspective at those events. And that matters far more than what we or the sales team can share about Horizon House. So again, more to come with that. We are also having retention events. And retention meaning people who have put down that 10% deposit. Because of the timing of our project, 4 years, I'm cutting down the 4.5, 4 years from now, the opening of the West Tower, it's a long time. And so we want people to stay engaged. And so in order to do that, we are having events to help people feel closer to Horizon House and be a part of Horizon House. So by the time they move in, they're already a part of our culture. They have relationships. And so you'll see more of that. And we will be asking residents to be involved with that. One of the things we are bringing online are a few more of those type of conversion events. These are people who, they may need a little bit more information. They are interested in Horizon House, but they're just not ready to write the check. They need something to help them close the gap. So we're going to start having some events in between time where they just get to know Horizon House better. They get to know how we operate better or specific things about our organization. So you'll start to see more of that as well. Want to talk a little bit about our ad hoc subcommittee and the diversity, equity, and inclusion luncheon that we had on the 1st of October. The event was a success. Thank you to residents who are on that committee and who volunteered, invited people, and hosted tables and did tours. So thank you to all of you who were involved. It was such a wonderful opportunity for us to share what Horizon House is to many people who might know us through our residents, but really had a chance to hear about not only Horizon House, but the entire CCRC model. There were a couple of key takeaways. We had 22 people attend. We invited 24, and 22 people came. So I call that a success. But the couple of key takeaways for us in listening to the people who attended, one of the things that people made pretty loud and clear is that, we know great things about Horizon House, but, in order for us to feel comfortable moving or want to move, we want to see more diversity there. So again, that's not anything we didn't know, but it helps us understand how we need to bring people in, that we need to bring enough people in so as people walk through Horizon House, they do see racial and ethnic diversity within our organization. The other key takeaway is just, people were so glad that we had opened our doors and we'd asked them. Part of what we asked them was, where should we be at? What should we be doing to increase the racial and ethnic diversity? So they were grateful to be asked. And they said, this is information that I'm not having within my friend groups. Nobody's talking about what's next with me. And so many of the people who came said, we need to have more conversations out in community. We'd like you to come speak about it. So again, it's not something I'm going to do alone. If, we get invited, I would certainly love to have residents come with me or be a part of a speakers bureau to help educate people who have often been left out of the conversations around what does it mean to be a part of a CCRC or life plan community. If you have any suggestions who we should invite to the next luncheon or future luncheons, please let me or Beth know. Again, we plan on continuing to invite people from diverse racial and ethnic backgrounds. Whenever we spend time off site and get educated, I certainly want to share back with residents about some of our learnings. So last week, there were Beth, Don, and Paulette and I had the opportunity to attend Leading Age Washington's fall conference. And this was a great conference. There were about 100 people in attendance from organizations all over Washington. I was a guest panelist, and I represented single-site CCRCs who were in the midst of an expansion project. And I just wanted to share a couple of key takeaways. Ziegler, who is our banker, presented, and one of the data points they had from the National Investment Center on Senior Housing was that we need 806,000, that number is right, 806,000 additional units of senior housing by 2030, within less than 6 years. And that's the cost of that is about $400 billion. And so that gives me great confidence in filling the 200 units. We're doing our share here at Horizon House. But that is the need, and we know that that need is going to continue to grow. There, because of just the lack of the ability to invest in these projects, we know that 800,000 units, it's going to be impossible to fill the need. So we're going to have a huge pent-up demand. So that was a key takeaway. The other thing that was really interesting, my fellow panelists were all from either multi-site or organizations that had affiliated. And one of the things that, they even shared that they noticed is that residents want to have more say in their experience. Well, we are the leaders of residents having say in their experience, hence why this room is full today. And so it's important for us to show up and talk about it. People really enjoyed hearing, because all of my conversation was about residents engagements, our relationship with residents. I want us to be the leading experts in resident engagement and resident and organization partnership. We are the leaders in this, no doubt, but I do want us to be able to share that so that other residents in other places can have similar experiences. And so lastly, the theme of this conference was around accountability, and it was really interesting. Again, Horizon House is an organization that believes in accountability, but one of the things they talked about is that, when you have teams that are accountable, this is your workforce that is accountable, it helps you become more high performing. And so while that is something that has been a part of our culture, our work culture here, it's something that we are really, really digging into through our culture work. And in terms of how we hire people, accountability is something that we are looking for in our future leaders. So those were all key takeaways for me. And I just wanted to also, thank you all again for the example that you set. Is so awesome when I go out in the community and represent Horizon House. Beth can attest, how many times was Horizon House mentioned in this big room of people? Over and over again, example after example. Many organizations like Horizon House are also looking to close their skilled nursing. And so here we are, an example, something we did long ago. We made that decision long ago. We are looked at as an innovator, and we will continue to be. We might be one site, but we are so mighty. And so thank you all, it's just such a privilege. And in closing, so at the end of the month, myself, Deanna, and Marcia Elmquist will be going to Leading Age National. This is the Leading Age annual meeting in Nashville, and we have quite a few team members from Horizon House who are going as well. And so this is going to be an opportunity, and we look forward to having some time on the agenda to share our takeaways. We all are excited to look forward to things that we can bring back to enhance the community. But, stay tuned. We will talk a little bit about, what our experience has been at this particular annual meeting. There are typically between 6,000 and 7,000 people that attend. They have a huge expo. So having both Deanna and Marcia as board members as well as residents, we have a different lens this time. So they'll be able to go and look at things that will really enhance your experience. So I'm excited to have them come along. All right, I am going to turn it over to Nancy and Deanna.
Huh? Yeah, I spelled her name right. She's impressed. I spelled her name right. I had to look at it letter by letter as I wrote it, but Nancy is going to introduce you to the nominees and tell you about the process for the new council.
Thank you, Deanna. So my name is Nancy Najelski. I'm the chair of the Residence Council Nominating Committee. I want to begin by first acknowledging and thanking the other members of our committee. They are, if they'd stand up, Les Cox, Pam Daly, John Gienap, Sally Wren, and Pat Waite. And there they are. Thank you very much. They were an absolute pleasure to work with. I appreciated all the time, the commitment, and teamwork that they put into this process. Our committee spent several months trying to find some people that would be willing to serve on the Residents' Council. We contacted all the residents who were nominated, and then we conducted all the interviews. And from that, we came up with a slate of nominees. If approved by you today, will serve a 3-year term beginning in January. So we're going to have nominees come up and briefly introduce themselves. And Deanna, do you want to help with that? Let me advance them. Here's their names. Da-da-da-da-da. Drum roll.
Thanks, Nancy. Barbara. Yeah, I guess we'll.
Hi, I'm Barbara Knight. I've lived here for 3.5 years. Let's see. I'm active on 2 different committees. I work on the library committee every morning at 5:30. I set up the newspapers, go down to the front desk, get 3 different newspapers and set them up in the library. And someone actually told me this morning that he saw me working in the library at 5:30 in the morning. The other committee assignment I have is the birthday parties. And that's a fun group. It's a fun activity. And if you're invited to a birthday party, I strongly encourage you to participate and go. It's a wonderful opportunity. And then someone asked me, well, what did you used to do for a living? So okay. In a prior life, I worked for the Internal Revenue Service, and I managed income tax examinations of large multinational corporations. And it's, anyway, that's what I do now. Next.
Bonnie Miller.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Well, I'm an old timer. Thank you. I'm an old timer, and I've been here over 11 years. And in fact, I had to get dressed today because I've been busy packing to move out of my apartment for the refurbishment. Oh, I'm just looking at the positives. My best friend, BFF, and I, like 20 years ago, said, well, her parents lived here. Some of you may remember Molly and Jerry Cohn. And so she would sometime drag me along when she was coming to see them. And she said, oh, we have to get on the waiting list so that we can grow old together. And I said, oh, okay. Years ago, decades ago. But the time came. So this little girl from small town in northeast Iowa, who became a teacher, taught in rural Iowa schools, Durham, North Carolina, and finally Seattle, because we came for a vacation. You have outdoor air conditioning here. So we decided to come here. We did come here, and so I taught until it was baby rearing time, so took a time out for that. Then went back and did several different jobs, and I liked all of them. But eventually, I said to my friend, I think it's time. And she said, oh, well, we'll go to Horizon House. And I said, well, maybe I should look around first. So I did. I didn't need to waste the time. This was it. So I moved here. I love being on the committees. I love going to the performances, the programs, whatever is going on. I wouldn't have to leave here if I didn't want to. Everything is here. So thank you for considering me for the Residents' Council.
Bonnie forgot to mention that she's on the Environment Committee with me, chaired by Bill Roach. Pam Mitchell? And she's also in charge of Dr. Watts, compost recycling.
And I'm very carefully watching what I put in wherever, Bonnie. So I'm Pam Mitchell. I moved here about 7 years ago. Actually, our move-in date was the same date as the party for the Residents' Council giving out of the checks to all of the staff. And we thought this was pretty cool to have this kind of a party. We didn't know who was getting checks, but we really enjoyed the party. So Don and I, as I said, moved in about 7 years ago. We lived in South Seattle. In my former life, actually it wasn't still my former life then, I was in leadership at the University of Washington School of Nursing and continued to work until July after I had moved in here. So the light rail made it extraordinarily convenient to get out to the U and back again. I was involved in some of the art committee in particular when I first came, and then I really didn't get involved too much after that. My husband had Alzheimer's disease probably, and gradually needed more and more help, and I wasn't reliable because I never knew what was going to happen there. Sadly enough, he died a year ago, and I'm now in a position to give back and to get much more involved. And so I was really excited, Nancy, when you and Sally Wren came to me and interviewed me for the Residence Council, and I'd be delighted to serve.
Thank you, Pam. And Karen Perret is currently on the Residence Council. She was serving as a fill-in, and so now she's eligible for a full term. And is Karen somewhere here? She's not here? She's in Japan? Well, this is being videotaped, and it can be seen in Japan as soon as Risa gets it on the internet. So, hi, Karen, wherever you are. We hope you're having fun. All right, the next on the list, certainly not least, is Carly Swift.
I've been watching John do the notes, and I think you're pretty amazing. You're keeping up with everybody. So I'm Carly Swift. I was born a few blocks from here at Swedish Hospital and raised in the area. And then I spent most of my adult life in Southern California. Came back 2 years ago and have been really enjoying exploring Seattle, which has transformed completely since I was a child. Fun fact, both my mother and my sister have been on the Residence Council before me. That's it.
Thank you all. And now it's up to the rest of you to vote. And the procedure is, for those of you who have been, yes? No, I'm getting to that, yes. I'm getting there. First, we call for nominations from the floor. If anybody wants to nominate someone else, but we do ask if you do that, that you have run that by that person and they're willing to serve. Don't surprise anyone. So does anyone have a nomination from the floor? Has there ever been a nomination from the floor? Yes, there was. Okay, all right. Okay. Having no nominations from the floor, I'm going to ask you to vote for the slate. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Why not? Opposed? Anybody? Okay. Welcome to the council. We're happy to have you. Okay, John, it's your turn to approve the minutes. We'll have the minutes approved. Yeah.
Can I finish this sentence? Okay. The minutes of the previous meeting have been distributed to the council members. Are there any corrections to the minutes? There being no further corrections, the minutes stand.
Thank you, John. John is filling in for Karen Perret, who is the secretary and in Japan, as you now found out. Okay. Wait a second. Wait a minute. Well, I guess it's Karen. I expected Ned to come up, but it's Karen. So I'm sorry, Ned. I have you in the wrong place on the agenda.
Okay, we're going along. I appreciate everybody's careful requests for money and watching their budget. But now we're starting to think about next year. And I believe you have now all gotten the budget forms from you're not the coordinators, you're the resource person. So the resource person is the person that you committee chairs look to get the forms to fill out and the instructions. So we're eager to have you fill out your budgets for 2025, and then it will be presented at the November planning meeting and then be distributed to all of you. And I just appreciate all you chairmen for what you do, for doing the work you do and doing these detail works that have to be done. But budgets are really important. And if you are thinking about doing something new, this is your opportunity to really think about, well, maybe I need some finances to do that. Because this is what we're all about. We do so every year. There's new creative things. And I may be a numbers person, but I truly appreciate those efforts. So anyway, with that, and this is how we've been doing, you can see we're way within our budget, but I think a lot of people look at that and say, oh, now I can do X, Y, Z with my budget. So you can't really say, oh, it's the year's 3/4 over, and as a group, we've spent 60% of our money. So anyway, and with that, I will turn it over to Ned.
And communities and committees on which you're working. We have lost the assumption that the committees end and start on January 1 or December. They will continue, and they are continuous committees, and we will treat them as continuous committees with the membership continuing and not have to sign up every year. The committee descriptions, another reason we don't need a printed book so much, are all in HH Connect. You go to Resident Council Activities, and there's the list of the committees. You check on them. It'll tell you the committee description, who the leadership is, and this is updated even more frequently than the book. So it's the best source of information. In addition, committees can add, beyond the short description that they're allowed in the book, they can add, by clicking on it, forms. The Ducks in the Row Committee has significant forms that you can use. Other explanations of activities and things that the committee may be doing can be there online. So it's a better source, a quicker source than the printed version. The book will be available. There will be in the library with the resident council the printed copies of the book. And if you desperately want and need one, you may email me. I will certainly provide you with one. We may make a few available in the mail room so that somebody can anonymously solicit one if they wish. But they won't be generally distributed. New residents will be provided a book and a sign-up sheet as part of their new orientation and welcoming process to Horizon House, so that they will have the printed as well as the online version. Now, if you want to change an activity or hopefully add activities to your current active schedule, contact the leader of the activity. Sign up. If you want off, you may go to them and beg to be relieved. I hope all of you will continue to participate. You can add and you can detract any time of the year. It's not a January 1 affair. So keep participating, keep us going. It's what makes this place so wonderful, and it is indispensable for your good mental health and your good physical health, and it's indispensable for Horizon House and our continuing progress and happiness. Deanna? Or whoever's next. Jennifer, Monday Market, another wonderful activity.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. Given the 2-week vacation break for the Monday Market, the September earnings are for 3 weeks only. The total deposit was $4,697.96, an average of over $1,500 per week. The employee purchases for two of those weeks were the norm, around $300 per week. But September 16th was an outlier. The employees spent $946.86 in one Monday, yes. And I can't resist sharing with you the intake from the market reopening on October 7th, a total deposit of $3,594. Part of this was due to the large RA check, which was, from previous employee purchases for September, and 2 checks from the jeweler, and some furniture purchases. But it made me wonder if the market should be closed more often to stimulate the purchasing impulses of the customers. Again, the market volunteers went beyond the call of duty during the break to clear out old merchandise and to replace it with new items. We can't thank them enough. And EVS did a great job with a major cleaning of the market while it was closed. We continue to appeal for more volunteers. Vacations and illnesses interfere with the scheduled shifts, so it is important to have willing and available substitutes. The market is featuring Halloween items for the next weeks, just for the beginning of the various holidays that are coming up in this season. So several people commented on how they missed the market for 2 weeks when it was closed. They gave the impression that it was about the enjoyment of the community interactions rather than consumerism that was missed. We are happy to offer both. And next up is Sam and Marcia.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's good to know that the market is thriving. Just a very quick update on the Employee Gift Fund. This wonderful and generous community is about 1/3 of the way through in terms of contributions. So about 1/3 of you have responded. And we will be putting a reminder in the letter in the mail tomorrow. I just wanted to add something that Deanna mentioned earlier about gifts from charitable trusts. If you're just donating from your regular account, you don't need to follow that particular formula. If you say Residence Council, EGF, as we have in there, that is sufficient. We're very much looking forward to the final 2/3 of you who are yet to contribute, and we're optimistic that we will have a good year. So let me hand it to Marcia.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to have the chance to work on this, and I'm delighted to tell you that there is a roadmap to follow that has been provided by the council and Sam has shared. It takes you every step of the way through this very complicated, really, process so that all pennies get counted for and all employees get their what they're due, and all of you have a chance to participate to thank the employees. So we're grateful for the very well planned process and opportunity. And I'm delighted to be able to be part of it and lead it next year. So.
And we're handing it over to Ginny Stimson.
I'm Jenny Stimson, and I'm speaking right now as the co-chair with Kathy Cullen of the Low Vision Hearing Challenge Committee. We make these presentations because we want you to know something about what we're trying to achieve so you can help us do a better job of what we want to do. And also so that you might say, wow, I want to be part of the people who do those things, plan those things. Oh, so I made that pretty slide, right? Okay. So our commitments are to create policies and practices here at Horizon House that serve people with low vision and hearing challenges. And that is about 60% of us that we've identified have either one or both of those challenges. To promote an understanding of how low vision and hearing challenges impact the lives of residents. So to make all of us aware of what's happening with our friends here. To make residents aware of resources that are available for persons with low vision and hearing challenges, and to facilitate bi-monthly support group meetings. And I'll explain each of these. We learn a lot from surveys that we've put in your mailbox. We put one in about every 2 years and ask all of you to fill it in, and it gives us invaluable information. We identify who the residents are that have hearing and vision challenges. That allows us to email people directly or to put messages in individual cubbies. We identify what the challenges and needs are from the resident's perspective. We gather ideas from people about interesting and informative programs. Often, some of you know of a person that could come and speak at Horizon House that has information that everyone here would enjoy. We identify helpful resources to meet the needs and challenges that people have. So sometimes people will write to us and say, wow, this telephone has worked so great for me. Or this, another resource has worked well, this organization. We learn about topics for staff training, because sometimes people mention that there's things that the staff is not aware of in terms of the challenges of people with vision and hearing challenges. And we communicate that to the staff so that they can incorporate that in their own trainings. The focus of programs really is for all residents. Even though we're focused on vision and hearing, we're all going to be there sometime, right? But also you have friends here who have these challenges. So we look for doctors who can describe their practices related to hearing and vision. As you know, we've had some people come and talk about the most common challenges that face people in our age bracket, or they talk about new kinds of surgeries that are happening. A speaker we had last year said that they are just learning how to regenerate the eye. Wow, what a promise that is. Doctors describe to us tools too that help. So there are new things that are happening. Hearing aids are changing all the time, and they can describe to us what is available now and what is coming up. We get advocacy from families and friends that tell us how we can support one another. I think one of the best speakers we had was 2 years ago, and she was someone who said how important it was when you spoke up here to talk slowly and to look at all 3 sections of the room. But she also gave other advice. I sent a copy of that video to my sister who lives in Panama, and she said, hey, Ginny, you should watch this a few times before you visit me. We have had, and we will have again in the next month, an occupational therapist come and talk about ways our units can be modified to help people who have vision and hearing challenges. We've had that before from the Lighthouse, from the blind, to come and tell us, these are things that people could do for you right now to make your living go better. We've had representatives from the Lighthouse for the Blind, from the Washington Talking Books and Braille Library, from the Seattle Public Library, and the Seattle Art Museum. They all have special programs for people with vision and or hearing challenges, and they come and tell us about that. The support group meetings, we intend to have those every other month. So 1 month to have a support group for people here who have vision challenges, and another month to have one for people who have vision challenges. And what happens is we go around in a circle and people share, here's something that is helping me face the challenges that I have. Here's a resource that I found really useful. But then people also go around the table and say, here's something that I'm looking for. Here's a resource I want. Or here's something that I'm finding very challenging. Does anybody have a way of dealing with this issue? And I tell you, it's fun to be in the room and hear this conversation because people in the room share with one another and really learn from one another. And people follow up that aren't even on the committee, and when they hear something that somebody needs, they go out and find things for people. So those meetings are important. At those meetings, members of our committee take notes, and we type them up and get them out to everybody who has identified as having either a vision or hearing challenge. We also do some advocacy here at Horizon House. So for instance, we applied for enrichment grants to get clocks in the swimming pool area that were that were more easily read when you were in the swimming pool. That was interesting because, you know, we had some samples and then people who swam regularly gave us input. Yep, we like that one. Nope, we don't like that one. Also in the dining room, you can ask your waiter for a lamp that clips on your menu if there's not enough light in the room for you to read. And we've purchased some lamps that go in the middle of the table, and you can ask the waiter to bring that lamp to your table. My mom lived here, and her vision was failing, and being able to see the food on her plate was really important. So that's part of the idea of those lamps on the table. We've advocated for better placement and readability of elevator signs. Maybe you remember 2 years ago, they came up with a new design for elevator signs, and they had fancy backgrounds, and they used different colored prints, and they gave lots of information. And we said, listen, people aren't in the elevator forever. It's helpful to have a contrast, a white background with black print, and just the most important information on the signs. And our communications department listened to that, and as you can see, remember they put the signs at the back of the elevator? Really? You know, that's not what you're facing when you're in the elevator. So anyway, they pay attention. These needs that people have with vision problems are needs we all have. And I really appreciate that the communications department listens. We advocated for, in the designing the new dining spaces, that they really pay attention to the needs of people with hearing problems. If you wear hearing aids, you get a lot of background noise, and we get a lot of feedback. It's typical of any major restaurant, and it's typical of other retirement communities. But we're saying, could you find out about the best materials and find some tables that would be the best placement for people with hearing problems? We've advocated for appliances that better meet the needs of people with vision problems. We suddenly changed the kind of microwaves we had, and the print on the microwaves was very small. So I went and talked to Eli, and I said, could we, before we buy and commit to a new kind of thing, ask the Lighthouse for the Blind for advice on which appliances to buy? And Eli listens. And then we had a wonderful meeting where we explained how T-coil works. You know how we say to people, use the microphone because we want to hear? Well, it's also because the sound goes into a coil that's in the ceiling, and it feeds directly into the hearing aids of people who have T-coil in their hearing aids. It's true in this room, in Myrtle Edwards' room, the Sky Lounge, and the Robert Durham room. And so speaking into the microphone when you're asking a question isn't just so we can hear it in the room, it helps us to get it recorded for the meeting. And I'm just telling you some of these things. So we had a fun session where people came in and we used those devices that are on the back table, and people experienced what a T-coil did. And one of the nice things that came out of that is people said, wow, I'm going to go to my provider and talk to them and get a different hearing aid, or now I know what to ask for a hearing aid. I thought that was really one of our most successful adventures. We want increased awareness here, so we asked speakers to speak to all residents. So we learn how to support people with hearing loss and without taking away people's independence. So that is a key to what we're trying to do. We don't want you to take over for people who have hearing or vision problems. We want you to support them in being as independent as they choose to be. So we put in the HH Connect, if you, like you were saying at our website, if you go to the Neighborhoods Committee, there's a sheet there that gives tips for helping someone with vision loss. And there's a sheet there, tips for helping someone with hearing loss. And that's for all of us to read, right? That's for all of us to know how to support our friends here at Horizon House. We're going to print some copies of those sheets and put them in the mailroom, not stuff every cubby. We've been asked not to do that. But we're going to put some because we think during the holidays, as you meet with your family members, you could hand this sheet to them and it would remind them of things that are useful if you have a vision or a hearing challenge. People here who have vision challenges, we made some dots to go on people's name tags. I'm not seeing many of these here today, but we made some yellow dots that indicate people have a vision problem. And the yellow dots have an eye on it with a slash through it. And then we had blue dots that are an ear with a slash through it. And if you have a friend who has a yellow or blue dot on their name tag, they're asking you to say, when you talk to them, hi, I'm Jenny Stimson. How are you doing today, so-and-so? You know, so it's just a reminder to you to be aware of their needs. And of course, you could go get these sheets and see what you could do to help them too, without taking away their independence. So what makes for a good low vision hearing challenge committee member? We talked about this at our last meeting, and people said, we want people who have these challenges to be on the committee, but we want some people who don't have these challenges as well. So sometimes we have people who are partners here or have had family members that have these challenges that contribute. But it helps to have some people who know the real lived experience of trying to make hearing aids work and so on to be part of our committee to talk about it. We want people who are good observers and listeners. That's really what our committee is about, is really paying attention to residents here and seeing what their needs are, noticing when their needs aren't being met. We want people who know or want to learn how things get done at Horizon House and are willing to follow through on issues. Well, probably that's true for every single committee that's here at Horizon House. The fun of being on a committee is when you come here, is you really get to know how Horizon House operates. You say, look, I'll follow through on that, but who is the staff person to talk to? Or how do we get money? Or where do we find these resources? So you begin to learn a lot about the operation of Horizon House by being on a committee and volunteering to do some things. I have a great committee that does that. And then finally, this committee is all about caring for our neighbors. So to be on this committee, we ask for people who really do have that sense of wanting to care for one another here at Horizon House. If you're interested or if you have some questions or suggestions, see, getting suggestions is really important to us. I'll be at the table just right outside the door here after this committee to talk to you. Now, here's the deal. I'm also the chair of the Neighborhoods Committee. So I said to Deanna, if I'm up here, could I just make a pitch for a second for neighborhoods? So sorry, just adding here. So it happens that many of our upcoming programs are going to focus on this First Hill neighborhood. And if you've lived here for a while, you might know about different institutions, but might not know what's happening with them currently. Or you might be relatively new to Horizon House and not realize how much is happening in our neighborhood. On October 22nd, we're going to take a field trip to the Memory Hub, which is over by the Fry Museum. And it provides support for people with memory issues and their family. And you're going to get an opportunity to see the kinds of resources and activities that they have going on over at the Memory Hub. On October 29th, we're taking a field trip to Town Hall. Town Hall says they'd like us to come get acquainted with what they're doing and their programs. So we're going to walk over to Town Hall. They're going to show us the kind of meeting spaces they have, describe their programs. One thing I learned talking to the gentleman about this is that every month they do a specific program focused on the needs of seniors in this neighborhood. I hadn't picked up on that, but he's going to talk about that. On November 1st, the First Friday Walk is going to use the new G-Line Rapid Ride to go to the Madison Valley neighborhood. So if you join us for that walk on Friday morning, you're going to see the two places that are nearest to us to get on the G-Line. You'll get some support in how you use that. You know, it costs only $1, and you can go all the way to the Madison Valley. When we get to the Madison Valley, there's lovely shops and restaurants, but we're also going to learn something about the history and the nature of that neighborhood and some of the events that have are associated with the Madison Valley. On November 8th, now this isn't a First Hill thing, but Nancy and I were working on the agenda for a meeting for neighborhoods, and Erica came and sat down with us, and she said, what do you do? And we described different things, and we said that we had gone to El Centro de la Raza to see the Day of the Dead altars, the ofrendas that are there. And they're so incredible because they lift up people who've been social activists in our neighborhoods. And Erica said, I'd love to go if you go again. So now we're going again. And so for sure she's coming, and I hope that you might want to join us too. We're going to take the city bus there so we can take everybody. And, well, not maybe everybody, but a lot of people. Newt Berger is going to come and talk. Jeff Graham was at a meeting with Newt, and Newt said he'd like to come back to Horizon House and talk about Mossback. So he's coming to be with us on November 19th. We used a lot of his programs during COVID. We got permission to just use videos of his programs, and I think they were very enjoyable. We actually do have the date since I made this PowerPoint, but we're going to go to historic Seattle's Dearborn House and learn about the history of that building and the work they're doing in their gardens there. And maybe we're going to go to Cascade Media, who has now moved into our neighborhood. For sure, instead of a field trip, we're going to have programs here that are about the First Hill Improvement Association. There's a new director for that program who's going to come and tell us what her vision and the programs are that she's organizing for First Hill. And then somebody from the Freeway Park Association is going to come and tell us about the programs that are going on down there. Neighborhoods is pretty busy. Whoops. You can see neighborhoods is pretty busy, right? So thank you for letting me talk about that. I hope that you look forward to these programs and that you take advantage of what we are learning about vision and hearing challenges too. Thank you. The next person is Deanna.
Thank you, Jenny. That was great. I'm filling in for Ann Kelly today. She's not here. So I have her burning question for the month, and the question is, Is there a backup system for the new locks that will go into effect with a general power failure? And Brian Holtz answered, the new locks themselves are battery powered and the locks have a cache memory that retains the keys that are allowed to unlock such door, since the power might be lost to the hub that communicates with them. Got it? Battery backup, so they're battery, don't worry about it. Right, they have a battery. They're run by battery, not by the electrical system. Okay, does anyone have any questions of me? No questions? Okay, Doris will be in the in Fireside Lounge with the dining committee, and she'll take your questions. Ginny will be there, and I'll be there for a bit in Anne's place in case anybody has any burning questions they need to ask. All right. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it.